This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit.
Becoming out of reach for the middle class in India. A quest to find the answer to that question was the reason for us to start a series on affordable home for India's single largest population group, the middle income or the middle India. Surprisingly and somewhat contrary to the belief that property prices have run up beyond most people's pockets, there are homes in all of India's top cities which can be bought at a reasonable price. In this quest for well-priced homes, today we'll focus on the two southern metros, Bangalore and Chennai. My expert panel today, Jack Bastian Nazareth, Group CEO, Purvankara Projects. Dr. R. Kumar, Managing Director, Naveen Housing and Properties. Om Chaudhry, Founder and CEO, Fire Capital Fund. Vineet Relia, CEO, Sare Homes. And Gaurav Pandey, Senior Vice President and Head Research and Consulting, Prop Equity. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me today. I know it's going to be a very interesting discussion. I'm just going to do a little bit of a stage setter. I think this is a good reminder to people what is the definition of affordable homes for middle India. Now we are qualifying here, it's affordable homes for middle India because generically affordable homes in India means for the lower economic group or the economically weaker segment. That's not our focus today. Now, markets catering to a buyer with an annual household income of 6 lakh to 15 lakh rupees. That's the budget that we are taking. So it's a very modest, very moderate, decent budget even for somebody who's 3 to 4 years into their careers. Ticket price of homes in shortlisted markets is from 30 lakh to 60 lakh rupees. Market is defined to be affordable for an average buyer if up to, this is important, 3 BHK sizes fits within the upper limit of 60 lakh rupees. Now the data that we'll be flashing on and off on the screen is all from Prop Equity, which is of course the finest data available for all residential properties across the country. Having defined this, I think let's just focus on the Bangalore market first. A hugely end-user driven market, and that's the reason why price increase in this market has been very steady from the second half of 2009 to date. So Jack, the first question over to you. Would it be fair to say that this city in particular offers a lot of homes which you can say are still affordable within our definition of 30 to 60 lakh rupees?
Yes, surely, Manisha. A couple of things that go in favor of Bangalore market. One, like you rightly said, it's an end-user driven market. The population has increased in the last 5 years. More importantly, 60% of the urban populace, even now as we speak, live in rental homes. So there is a great opportunity for the affordable segment here.
All right. So, Gaurav, explain to us the Bangalore market per se. The good thing which came out from your report was that this is a market which is developing very evenly all around the central business district, and new business districts are developing around the residential markets. So residential markets are developing around the new emerging business districts. So panning out really well for affordability?
Indeed, yes. In fact, what's great about Bangalore as a city is you have seen a very modest and justified price increase. The city has seen about 22% price increase, whereas cities like Gurgaon saw 56% absolute price increase in the last 2.5 years, which clearly indicates that means people are willing to pay higher based on pure end user demand. In fact, the rental market is also gives you a very good yield return. Giving the broad specifics of the market, if you look at all regions, be it the North Corridor, South Corridor, East Corridor, West Corridors, you have options ranging between 1, 2 and 3 BHK at times as well, which are within this price bracket of 30 to 60 lakhs. Okay. So it's a very lucrative, very well priced market.
Very well priced market. What about quality? Let me come to that question, Om. We've had this whole debate and discussion on South versus North developers. What do you actually get for 30 lakhs? In North, you really have to, let's say NCR, go very, very far off. In Bangalore, you don't have to go that far off. And that's, I think, the most interesting point.
Yeah, when you look at quality, as you mentioned, there is, when you look at the North, it's a totally different kettle of fish. But the South, and particularly Bangalore, leads as as regards to quality of construction, but what has happened over the years is that sizes of the apartments and the densities have gone up because the infrastructure has not fallen in place as fast as we would have liked it to. If you compare the infrastructure, say in a Bangalore to that in Hyderabad, you would like to see a lot more happen. There are initiatives like the metro, etc., which have now kind of.
So are you saying the infrastructure is still lagging way behind?
And therefore, while like you and Gaurav rightly mentioned, this is a city which is growing in all possible directions. So there's a lot of sprawl from that standpoint. But the extent of that sprawl is not as much, at least over the last 4 or 5 years. We tended to be closer to the city, and therefore you had certain pockets where the densities are high.
Okay.
And to get to a particular absolute level in terms of price points, you had no option but to reduce the size of the apartment, which for what people were expecting in a Bangalore kind of a situation, a garden city.
Sprawling homes are no longer a reality.
No
You're
longer
looking at a budget
reality.
of 30 to 60
So when
lakh.
you look at quality, yes, construction quality is good, but when you look at it from the standpoint of design and the master plan per se, it is a little congested. Now, having said that, we are now seeing people move away slightly further out, and when that is happening, you're looking at much larger projects. We've got on the northern corridor going up towards the airport, you have very large projects
Townships
towards
coming
the
up.
east, townships coming up, because here not only do you have a set of buyers who are end users, but a lot of them, because they're IT and IT enabled services, they're well traveled, they are used to the idea of traveling out in search of a better lifestyle. So that concept, and in any case, Bangalore historically has been, it's had, the market's had a penchant for villas more than apartments. That's where the city has been, and that's the way it's developed.
So
that is something that we're going to see more and more
that people are willing to travel outside. Dr. Kumar, what's your impression of the Bangalore market? Overall, we'll come to the Chennai versus Bangalore a little later, but Bengaluru still remains one of the most affordable metro markets of India if you look at the pricing points.
Yes, I do agree with you. Bangalore prices, even when compared to Chennai, they are more affordable. And why this is happening? Bangalore has got a wider spread on all directions. You have land available on all 360 degrees. Whereas Chennai, one side 50% is covered by the sea, and then there is a perception about the North Madras. People don't want to go there, which means we have only one quadrant of the circle which is available for development. And so naturally, and you must thank God we are not 4 times as expensive. Maybe we are about 20% more expensive than Bangalore. So there it is.
Okay. All right, fair enough. So the spread of Bangalore gives it more possibilities of development. Let's just look at how Bangalore is spreading out. Now, northwest Bengaluru, this is the beauty of Bangalore, that northwest, northeast, southeast and southwest, all 4 areas are developing very well, giving you a lot of options depending on where you work for affordable homes. Northwest Bengaluru, the rates are around 4,100 per square feet. Northeast Bengaluru, and these are blended rates from prop equity, 3,900 rupees per square feet. Southwest Bengaluru is about 3,700 rupees per square feet, and Southeast Bengaluru is about 3,400 rupees per square feet. In many cases, I find the prices in Bengaluru actually better than even Pune. Now, if you just look at a couple of shortlisted markets, and we'll begin with Southeast Bengaluru. There's Electronic City, Hosur Road, ORR, Marathalli, HSR Layout, and Sarjapur. And just going by the number of questions that we get on the show, most of the questions are coming for this area. A lot of IT professionals can, I think, afford homes here, and that's the reason why we get inundated with questions for these areas. The least expensive amongst these is Electronic City, and the most expensive is ORR today. And the average ticket prices, let's say a 1 BHK is about 18 to 33 lakhs. At least in the Electronic City, this is not available in all other markets. 2 BHK is priced about 35 to 45 lakhs. and 3 BHK about 52 to 67. So 3 BHK does go out of range here. Even in Electronic City, you may just manage to get about 60 lakh, but it's going to be a tough one. ORR, of course, is way beyond it. It's already at 84 lakh rupees. So that's one of the markets that we've looked at. Is it a market that you've been looking at, Vineet? I mean, Bangalore is a city. What areas would you look at closely?
I think we've been looking at Bangalore for a while, and we've almost come in terms of a closure, couple of deals, but things have just not happened there. But if you ask my preference, I would actually look at South Bangalore, areas like Bangarpata and all. Okay. And the primary reason would be that, ultimately, for affordable housing, you also need the economic drivers nearby, and you need, it's got to be a comfortable living. While it's good that people are okay to travel now, but still the distance and the travel times have to be within certain range, and I feel south of Bangalore, Bangarpata and those areas fill well, especially with the nice corridor. All
right, so you have your money on that belt, but let's also look at a couple of other markets. If you look at Southwest is the one that I'm going to look at now. Banarghata, Kanakpura Road, Kengeri, that's the one. The least expensive is Kengeri, and the most expensive is Banarghata Road. Of course, the average ticket prices are going to flash on your screen. Again, a 3 BHK does become a little expensive, Gaurav. I mean, in most of these locations, 3 BHK, you may just about manage to get in a price range of 60 lakh and less, which is what Om has been saying, that the sizes are shrinking when you talk about affordability of Bangalore.
I think we need to look at 2-3 broader perspectives. One is that the 3 BHK, the units that we are referring, the price points we are referring is the average. Obviously, you have options from lower rung developers, mid rung developers within the same corridor, which are available at slightly higher, in terms of space as well. Sure. I think to really understand the Bangalore market, one has to go a little bit in the history of the evolution of the market. Bangalore actually saw growth in 2 major corridors historically in the real estate boom period, as we say. The south part of Bangalore saw Electronic City, being the hub of all major, IT companies, so and so to speak. Right. And these were campus-led developments like Infosys, Wipros of the world. The eastern part of Bangalore, which is the Whitefield and the likes of it, saw multi-tenanted buildings. So if you see the price points in these 2 markets are highly end-user driven, because this is demanded highly by working professionals. Okay. The northern part of Bangalore, which goes from Hebbal to forward, is also seeing some kind of an investor participation. So if you say southwest for that matter, it is still very affordable. I mean, there are options within Banarghata Road. If you go much further around Nice Corridor, and if you cross a bit into the Nice Corridor, you have plenty of options available within 3 BHK, which you can easily afford.
I'm beginning to believe that the whole of Bangalore seems to be an affordable market, but let's...
Feels like that.
Or maybe we should have brought the parameter down and said not 60 lakhs, let's just keep it at 40 or 50. Okay, so Northeast Bangalore, let's look at some of the markets here as well. Hennur Road, Thani Sandra and Whitefield. Least expensive of all 3 markets is Hennur Road, and the most expensive has been Whitefield. Now, very difficult to afford anything in Whitefield, and I'm not so sure whether you are getting those many options of 1 or 2 bedroom as well. I mean, Whitefield is one of those locations where there's already a lot of luxury is coming up as well. And I'm going to just read out the last market, and this is actually the northwest market, which is Tumkur Road, Magadi Road, Yelahanka, Jalahalli. This is on the new airport side, and the least expensive is Tumkur Road, and the most expensive being Jalahalli. All right, Jack, I mean, we've just looked at lots of upcoming markets in Bangalore. Still seems to be one of the markets where you can get good quality construction. If you can stretch up your budget from 60 lakhs to maybe 70, 10 to 15%, you could even go up to a good 3 BHK home. So pin down some of the markets which are your favorite in terms of the future.
I personally think, given the whole of Bangalore, Hebbal, Dodballapur on one side, Kanakapura on the other side, Banarghata Road and Mysore are the areas that will really see traction because, just referring to infrastructure that is yet to be laid out and on paper or whatever is being executed, this will actually drive people to believe of projects that will get completed in a year or 2 from now.
Okay, so what happens with the infrastructure? I mean, that is a big concern that everybody has had. In fact, the big industry honchos themselves have said that Bengaluru is also losing out quite a bit, maybe to Chennai as a city, simply because of not having the right infrastructure. In fact, a big Japanese delegation came, visited Bengaluru and decided they didn't want that city for business, would rather establish something in Chennai.
True. You know, this story has been going on for the last decade, if I must honestly confess. But, you know, what you see on the ground, people are, I must say that people are getting used to it. But I think irrespective of whichever government comes in power, whatever the political will, they will be forced to put on this infrastructure. You will see about 720 kilometers of mass rapid transport system that will come into the city, because you can't afford to lose industries. And I think this will drive infrastructure into a different direction in the couple of years to come.
All right, so all hopes that infrastructure will take off. It has actually, at some level, the infrastructure home in Bangalore is seeing some progress. Maybe it's a bit slow, it's crawling, but it's happening.
It is happening, and that's the reason why it's seen, at least, you know, people, when they're placing their bets on the future, it's not all dismay, right? And that's the reason while some delegations have come and gone, many more have kind of stayed and made Bangalore their home, and that's the reason why, you know, you see a third of India's exports in the software sector coming out of Bangalore. That wouldn't have happened, or that wouldn't have grown if that faith wasn't there. And actually, if you see on the ground, if you look at Whitefield, the way it has developed, you know, as a micro market, the concept of a micro market in Bangalore, for example, has taken root in that Whitefield area. Most other parts, while you could talk of growth and residential development,
right,
we need to remember that this is an end user market. End user markets focus on being close to place of work and good social infrastructure. Again, this is a market which is very sophisticated in terms of, you know, the IT enabled services. They're exposed to the best in the world, lived abroad, come back, or, you know, traveled extensively. So they need that kind of lifestyle, whether it's good education, whether it's you know, entertainment, shopping, etc. Which this part of the city, going back to your question on where, you know, one would think the future lies, there is, you can't negate the fact that the north is going to get driven, and notwithstanding the fact that water is a big issue there. But let's forget that.
For the south as well.
South is much better, but the north, there is a much bigger issue. But that said, the airport and all the infrastructure, the elevated expressway, etc., that's falling in place is pushing a lot of activity in that direction. A lot of work centers, the ones that are in place today, are in that quadrant, the northeast quadrant. And that's where we'll see, you talked about ORR, you know, there's a lot of development that's taking place there. Because of the slowdown of sorts in the IT sector, a lot of the commercial infrastructure has, you know, people have held their horses and not gone as fast as they would otherwise have in terms of creating or rolling out that IT infrastructure on the commercial side. But residential will, you know, thrive on that. And the fact that social infrastructure on the eastern side, because of Whitefield having become what it has over the years,
very strong micro market,
that is going to give a lot of strength. And then because of affordability, Whitefield is probably not affordable, you know, for the middle classes today.
Right.
So you will see suburban development to the Whitefield micro market will fall in place.
Absolutely. So there'll be markets beyond Whitefield which will develop, but in similar direction. You also pointed out to North, and I know the Sari Homes' biggest focus is when we are going to expand and set up a project, it has to be in that affordable range for the middle income India. I think that's been the basic philosophy of the group. So why is it that, you know, things haven't taken off in Bangalore? Because it seems to be a market absolutely ripe.
I think what's happened in Bangalore is, you know, while our mission is always middle income housing, and we've always tried and cater to a particular segment. In Bangalore, what we've seen as a market is after the IT boom, there has not been any other kind of an industrial boom which has really catch on, you know, versus Chennai where there's been huge industrial
that beyond
boom.
IT is
what? And beyond IT, what happens is, so what you're saying is you got this Whitefield and the surrounding boom. So there is an airport coming, but airports, we've seen a lot of city where airports have come up, and Hyderabad is one classical example, but real estate necessarily doesn't pick up in the, you know, in a decade almost. So till because of that reason, we have always preferred the the southwest, because it has the nice corridor and there is connectivity to the workplaces.
All right, so southwest. But what's the kind of price point on an average blended rate? What kind? I mean, if you were to launch
the price
something,
point,
if
we were to launch something there, we would be looking at a price point starting at about 4,500 a square foot. And also, having said that, if you even look at our products in Chennai, what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus more on the ticket price now.
One final question on Bangalore before we move on to Chennai. I mean, why is there sudden rush of luxury happening in Bangalore? That's another end of the market, but most of the demand, if you look at any research report, seems to be in this affordable category for the middle income, and that's where the developers were really focusing on. But is it just a media hype that 30,000 rupees per square feet apartments are now no longer a rarity in Bangalore?
Well, yes, the product differentiation has taken place in the last 2 years. When you talk of 30,000 square foot apartments, I don't think there'll be many to come, primarily because the geography does not have the kind of land. But talking of super luxury homes, for the last 1.5 to 2 years, I think there has not been a new supply into the market, given the macroeconomics. People have been waiting and watching, and I think when people come with a product that's acceptable, at the end of the day, in that segment, it is just the location that sells well, and that is why you have seen suddenly that there is a good take on luxury homes also.
All right, but the larger market continues to remain what they say one of the most steady markets across any metro in India. It will ride out any ups and downs simply because it is a hugely end-user driven market. In fact, amongst all metros, is placed as a market which has the highest end users. Another city in the south which has seen exponential growth in real estate is Chennai. That's the city we'll visit next and zero in on the best places for middle class homes.
The Property Show is presented by Puravankara, the pioneers of community living, in association with indiaproperty.com, the best place to buy new property.
Now shake your...
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV Profit.
Largest metropolitan city of India, which has managed to rope in both manufacturing-based and knowledge-based industries. It also has a port to boast of and is showing robust trends in real estate. That's Chennai, the capital of Tamil Nadu. Home buyers in Chennai, they say, have historically been termed by some consultants actually as conservative and primarily driven by location over and above most other considerations. Now, while large townships in Bangalore are now well established, in Chennai, that's a trend which is still unfolding. Dr. Naveen Kumar, just give us an outlay of the Chennai market. What really is driving the buyers there? What actually determines their buying decision?
Absolutely. I can't agree more with you. Location is one single important factor which drives a home buying decision in Chennai, because traditionally, now my Bangalore friends are talking about an end-user driven market. Just about 7-8 years back, it used to be investor driven. A lot of investors used to go to Bangalore. Chennai has traditionally been end-user driven market, and they take decisions on where to live based on their workplace, their schools, and other social infrastructure around. So location is one thing. That's the real estate is always driven by location, more so with Chennai.
What, Vineet, would you look at? I mean, when you're expanding in Chennai, of course, Gaurav's report very clearly says that it's not as overall and as in Bangalore. There are very limited pockets in which Chennai is growing. And why is that happening? Because infrastructure is even worse than Bangalore?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would say if you look at Chennai, originally, you have the OMR, which is the IT corridor, and we had maximum, real estate explosion happening on the OMR originally, which was subsequently followed by the GST. You had the heavy engineering plants like Ford and Nokia and guys moving in, so the GST road started picking up. And now recently you have seen the Orgadam belt really hotting up with the huge automobile giants really coming up there.
Right.
And also we must understand that Tamil Nadu has had the highest FDI in the country in terms of the industries being set up, and the scale of those industries is something I've never seen in the country
Mr.
before.
Modi must be very unhappy about it, but it's happening.
Yeah, if you, somehow or the other, probably the PR is not very strong for Tamil Nadu government, but otherwise they could do a good job. They're actually doing a good job, and the level of industrialization is huge. So if you look at it, OMR always remains a favorite in terms of the IT population, because that's a huge chunk of population which has a good disposable income at their hands. The couples want to go and buy places. Also, the second is, I think, the Orgadam and the GST areas, where obviously the affordability is a bit low because majority of the people are the factory workers, managers.
So blue-collared versus white-collared worker,
exactly.
that also defines the market per se and how well it does.
Absolutely, but the beauty of the market is that it has a mix of all.
It has a mix of all.
Which is really good for a player who's scattered. So we have 2 projects, and we are shortly, signing up 2 more projects on the Orgadam area.
So Chennai is clearly a
Chennai
market.
is clearly our, after Gurgaon Pan India, for us Chennai is really hot, and this expandable concept we started in Chennai, because traditionally the Chennai consumers are used to staying on a low rise. They are used to only the villa thing. They are, they are not like favorites for the high rises thing. So what we've done is we've created out something known as expandable villas, where we just do like 1 bedroom, and the ticket prices start at about 32 lakhs, and we are capping the ticket at 65.
And, right, so that's totally affordable and
completely
in our
affordable.
So southeast and southwest, Oragadam, GST Road, and OMR, these are some of the areas which are growing, Gaurav, but just lay out the whole area for us. Some of the high growth corridors of Chennai where you can find houses between 30 and 60 lakh rupees.
Actually, if you look at Manisha, most of the southeast corridor pockets, you have huge amount of options. Just to give you some idea, Velachery, you have options in 1 and 2 BHK available, within this income level of like 10 lakhs as well.
That's your southeast Chennai.
Yes.
So Velachery, Navalur, Siruseri, Kelambakam, and there's
Padur, Seminachari,
Sholinganallur, and yeah, okay. So that's the whole market.
Yes, goes for the southwest market because very industrial. Sri Perumbudur, you have a lot of industrial kind of workers as well. So you have a lot of affordable pockets around that area. Tambaram is a very interesting micro market.
These are far off from the central part of Chennai.
Exactly.
Very far.
Because if you look at Chennai's economic development, is happening in some kind of a duality. You have, unlike Bangalore, so you have a huge IT-led growth which happens in Taramani to the OMR, kind of a belt, and then you have a largely industrial-led growth.
Which has to be far off.
So you have both kind of options available, and it just depends upon what kind of a buyer you are.
Jack, what's been your own experience with Chennai market? I mean, let's not put it right now vis-a-vis Bangalore, but overall, is it an exciting market for you as well?
To be honestly speaking, I personally consider Chennai to be a bigger market than Bangalore. Reasons like the fellow panelists were mentioning. The demographic is just not IT, it is manufacturing, it has got automobile. More importantly, it is a market that is just not driven by end use, it is a savings driven market. So, you launch projects at the right time, at the right geography, you obviously have a lot of buyers. For me, Kelambakam, Sri Perumbudur, ECR, Pudupakam, Vandalur are the areas to look up to in the next couple of years.
Dr. Kumar, what would your couple of favorite markets be? Because Porur is another market that we've been discussing, and I think Samir, who's not here today, couldn't join us, but he's fairly optimistic about this market. So lots of markets in Chennai, but which one would you pick as some of the top ones for tomorrow's growth?
Yeah, in fact, I would move closer to the city on the periphery. One is the Mount Punamali Road is one area which is a lot of things are happening. And even the Thuraipakam Pallavaram Road, and then the Solinganallur Tambaram belt, which are much closer to city than the Siruseris and the Oragadams. In fact, there are a lot of affordable, middle class affordable homes in the range of 30 to 70 lakhs are thrown open in these areas. So my bet is on that belt. from south, from OMR to the Punamalli High Road.
All right, fair enough. Now look at the residential price trends. Chennai is clearly outstripped Bengaluru. In fact, in a National Housing Bank survey, Chennai was one of the metros which did on a blended rate much better than any other part of the country. So if you look at the residential pricing trends, and this is prop equity data, Chennai market has actually gone up 32% over the last 2.5 years versus 22% in Bengaluru. So, Om, what's your interest in Chennai then? Seems to be a much hotter market. I mean, we could end the debate now. I'm wondering what I'm going to do in my last segment, Bangalore versus Chennai.
You know, and a lot of us, when, you know, if I go back 5 years, we made a large investment in Bangalore on the eastern side. It was a 250-acre investment. And when we scratched our heads and said, in comparison to that, what should our investment size in Chennai be? Unfortunately, we thought 100 would be good. And it so turns out that, and we invested on the western side, Avadi, Punamalli High Road is what Dr. Kumar talked about. Purur is another market you talked about. So this is, you know, further out. And over the last 5 years, we've seen appreciation of more than 80%. Now, a market like Chennai, way back 5 years, if somebody had said 4 years into the future, 5 years into the future, prices would almost double, you know. And we didn't kind of, you know, while we made a large investment, we unfortunately didn't make it larger. So that is what the market of Chennai is. You know, it's been understated. But it's kind of held its own, and it's paid for people who've made investments like us for a 5 years back.
It's been a good market for investors, even though it's still an end-user driven market.
It's been a great steady growth. Location is very important, so you need to, you know, pick.
Absolutely, because in Chennai there are some markets which have turned out to be dud in the same period. They've just not gone up.
Yeah, you know, they were hyped up and it didn't kind of take off. Those markets didn't take off as much as, you know, some others did.
But Dr. Kumar, I believe you've got a point to make as well on the, you know, maybe the fact that we're saying that it's a very, very price conscious market. That's a good way to define Chennai.
Yeah, on top, let me add, the social infrastructure is a very important component. It's not just jobs people want to be close to. More than the jobs, they want their children's education. Where the schools are is more important than even where the jobs are. The elders can travel a long distance, but not the children. So some of these pockets have not developed the social infrastructure which is required. So that is one factor which all of us should remember. Is there an existing society and existing social infrastructure which is there? That's why you find some of those buildings which have been built and even sold remain unoccupied.
Jack, would you agree with that? That's right, absolutely. Point well taken. Social infrastructure of Chennai is definitely lagging because pretty much I think, and that's what I'm reading, Jack, I may be wrong, that Bangalore still has adopted to the township concept very quickly, but in Chennai it's still something which people are slowly getting used to.
Dr. Kumar was rightly saying the demographic has evolved. They were used to low-rise buildings, they were used to villas. Now they're seeing the advantages of a township, and township is actually bringing in that social infrastructure that was needed because culturally the population of Chennai needs a lot of things just other than schools also. They need their music, they need to read books, libraries. It's a part of that Chennai culture, and I think slowly you are seeing large townships being appreciated.
So I think education might be a good business as well in Chennai, because I do know that people in Chennai are extremely worried about the school that their children will go to, Gaurav. So how long before social infrastructure and all these upcoming markets that we've defined will come up? I mean, generally, what's the trend in terms of social infrastructure coming up?
I mean, if you see South in totality, I mean, you have far more consciousness towards engineering colleges and the likes, because it's very software led. that's the flavor of the market. If you see for the last 10 years, if you have a child in your home, it becomes a cliche to have a bachelor's in engineering and then do an MBA. So that is one trend that you see across South. In Chennai, what's also important to note, the reason why you have greater focus towards education is because the society is very conservative by default. Bangalore is far more cosmopolitan. You have a very hybrid mix of citizens from various parts, not only Kannadigas, but generally coming from various parts of the Karnataka belt, Tamil Nadu and Hyderabad belt. Chennai is far more controlled from the local population, and they are very sticky about basic education should be good, and this is really cluttered towards the inner parts of the city. So what you would actually see
is social infrastructure hasn't moved out as one would have expected, while in Bangalore it has. I already know of great schools which are in Whitefield and beyond, and they're opening. And in fact, from the central areas, there are children going out to these schools 18 kilometers outside of Bangalore. Chennai is the reverse.
Yes, you have a lot of international schools in Bangalore for that matter. I believe what will happen in Chennai in the long term is you have a lot of industrial townships coming up now in the same belts, especially on the OMR and the Sri Perumbudur belt. Once these townships can kind of come up, which is like 1,000 acres plus, for sure you'll have a lot of economic development beyond real estate development.
What's the demand-supply situation in Chennai? I mean, the market has done very well. I do hear, and this could be, maybe you can corroborate it, Vineet, that it's not that easy anymore to do business in Chennai if you're in real estate. Or is it just as good or bad as any other market?
I would say it's, just like any other market, but there are certain things which are very peculiar for Chennai. For example, if we pick it up from a consumer perspective, I would say location is something which consumers are sensitive pan-India. I don't think real estate means location is directly related. But Chennai is one market where we've seen people being very conscious about each and every amenity you're giving, starting from water supply. Chennai, it's a very big point. Customers come with lawyers. They want you to commit. You will give me water supply for so many years. You will commit that you will have a sewage treatment plant there. You will commit you will have a gated township.
I like the surname that I have.
So initially for starters from north, if you go down to Chennai, the difference is drastic, and they are very conscious about things like grills on the window, which I think in the north people don't even bother at the time of buying.
If the house looks beautiful, it doesn't matter.
If the picture is good on the brochure, they're kind of done. But in Chennai, they want to grill everything down to the bare thing, because I think it's more about they want the maximum buck for their money. But also what is very interesting is that being the largest, fourth largest metropolitan in terms of area, if you look at Chennai, you have to really move out, and the distances are huge. Even the inter-project distance is about 3 to 4 kilometers.
Right.
It's not like Gurgaon where one project ends and the other one really starts. Also, what has happened is I think the Tamil Nadu government needs to formulate certain policies, which I'm told the Chennai master plan is now being made. But what has happened is the development has happened. For example, you have these industry parks. So you have a Daimler Chrysler Park where, they are doing the development, they planned it. Or you have a IT Mahindra World City, they planned the development.
Right.
But the Chennai government needs to do it on its own so that you can allow gated townships as well. So far, I think there's a limitation.
Road next to the gated township.
Exactly. Road is fine. Allow a gated township, and please give a road next to it.
Next to it as well.
But I think, Manisha, that the TIDCO part of the government is, now of the last 1.5 years, if you see, they have taken a lot of proactive steps. In fact, they are inviting a lot of private sector companies to do some kind of, not exactly a PPP structure, but very close to a quasi PPP structure, where certain amenities would be provided by various allied bodies of the government, and the larger infrastructure development would be done by the private party. So hopefully it should come up, I would say, in the next 3 years or so.
It is. With the master plan coming, I'm sure a whole lot of things. Once you have a clear development plan for a city, that really helps things move forward. You have the metro coming. So, these things are really going to help.
And absolutely, affordability becomes wider as a concept, because you can set up more homes, which then can be in the range of 30 to 60 lakh. All right, when we come back, Chennai versus Bangalore, I think we've got the glimpse of where this panel is leaning, but we will grill them a little bit more and get to know which, according to them, will be a better investment market going forward. 22%. That's the kind of returns that Bangalore real estate market has shown over the last 2.5 years. And then look at Chennai, 33%. So clearly there's a big gap between the two markets, even though they remain the top markets of South India. Exponential growth, but more modest in Bangalore. Why is it? I mean, is it just Jack because Chennai attracts so many more industries. Is that it?
No, there is a bigger role for the city to play. Consistently, I think there is a lot of political stability there. You will see a lot of projects coming through. That itself will grow the market for Chennai.
Okay. Dr. Kumar, Chennai versus Bangalore, which one would you pick in terms of future price trends as well? You think Chennai will continue to outperform year on year in terms of appreciation?
Yeah, Chennai will continue to be robust because of its inherent strengths, and infrastructure as well as the industrial development across sectors. But still, Bangalore has got a softer image. Bangalore has got something nice to offer. I think Bangalore will catch up once the political situation stabilizes in Bangalore, and then they see, there are projects coming in. Bangalore, I cannot count out Bangalore. Bangalore is always can be robust as Chennai in the near future.
All right, can be as robust as Chennai. Vineet, would you want to take a call on that, or you think Bangalore still has a way to go? And this is something which is coming up in this discussion, that the political instability in Bangalore has been a big reason as well, probably perhaps for then business not growing as much, and therefore then the real estate price is not doing that well.
I think it's directly related to the business not growing, because first the business has to grow, create more employment, more migration happens, and that's where the real estate demands really come in. And also what has happened is Chennai, the growths have been in 3 corridors in 3 different phases of the past 5-6 years.
Right.
So you got this concentrated, for example, nowadays the Orgadam segment is really growing.
Is doing very
Earlier
well.
we had the OMR boom going on, we had a GST boom going on, whereas in Bangalore it's like all over, other than the Whitefield boom, it's like trying to
Very
scatter all over, it's spread out, so you obviously cannot do those kind of volumes and those kind of appreciations. So from an investor point of view, yes, Chennai is the destination, but also you got to be very careful about your location there, because it is dependent on certain corridors. You just cannot go out anywhere in Chennai.
Yes, so that's an important point. Maybe Chennai definitely has better yield potential, but yes, Dr. Kumar?
Yeah, I would like to add, Manisha, as I said in the beginning, Chennai's growth is in one quadrant. If you really see, because half the Chennai is sea, and then only in the south and the west, towards that direction only the growth happens. So there are pockets which are no high growth, whereas Bangalore is spread all around, so it gets diluted, the growth rate gets diluted because it's a 360 degrees development all around the city. So that could be one reason where there are concentrated pockets in Chennai where the prices are going up faster.
Right, and I think concentrated pockets have this benefit of bringing in both end users and investors also in a larger.
Infrastructure comes in quicker.
Your market, favorite market.
Yeah, if I look at it from the standpoint of fire capital and how we've done, there is a huge bias. We have a large township inside CMDA area in Chennai, so we've done really, really well with that. But that apart, and if you take a step back and look at the 2 cities and say which one going forward has more potential, I think Chennai did well over this period of time because there were fewer options and there were multiple drivers of growth and demand.
Sure.
Bangalore, in comparison, one driver is IT and IT-enabled services and growing in multiple directions. But having said that, as IT, and we've not had great times for the IT sector over 2008 there was a pause, and then now again because of Europe the IT sector is in a little bit of a holding pattern right now. But if you look at Bangalore and the potential the city has, the other challenge with Bangalore was the fact that the infrastructure never kind of
caught up with the pace
lived
of
up
growth, yes.
To what was expected. But that has to, and as is true with India, some cities get it better than the others, but there is like a 4 to 6 year lag between when something ought to have happened and when it actually happens. I think from that standpoint, over the next 2 to 3 years, Bangalore's time has, I think would have come.
Yes.
And going forward, there is going to be it's at the end of the day the Silicon Valley of the country, and there's people have a lot invested there, and some acts need to be cleaned up. the fact that it's growing in multiple directions, people are willing to move out as the infrastructure falls in place.
For Bangalore.
You know, we see, you know, there was a point earlier, we need to keep in mind that the Bangalore story is now like a 15-20-year story. You know, so what is also happening when you were talking about luxury, it's actually genuine demand, because people are now, like in the West, there was this whole thing of saying upgrade. People upgrade, they move, they bought something 10 years ago, they've lived out of that. Now they want a villa, they want better lifestyle. So that is very, very healthy for that market.
I'm glad at least he's taken a little bit of the Bangalore route, but what about you, Gaurav? When we look at the demand-supply situation, I think hard data, which market's likely to do better?
Okay, I have a little mixed bag. I'm not very biased to one city. I would say price appreciation trend and affordability is kind of, you know, inversely proportional. Okay. So what will really happen from affordability point of view, who knows, Bangalore will be far more affordable. That's one point that goes against Chennai, I would say. The second thing is you have to look at apple-to-apple comparison. You can't really generalize Bangalore market vis-a-vis a Chennai market. Sure. I would say micro markets like Whitefield and the entire Hebbal to the corridor that goes to Devan and DV, these are two micro markets which would give you a lot of surprises in terms of investment returns.
They've already done very well.
They've done well, and the kind of development that you're seeing, the kind of office space development that you'll see, the kind of aerospace-led development you'll see, these would be micro markets which should give you a lot of returns. I just want to give you a different perspective into this debate is, you know, if you look at current situation in the Indian property market, we've been talking about drop in absorption rate across major segments across India. Right. I think if I remember numbers correctly, NCR 42% drop, MMR 34% drop.
And Bangalore?
Bangalore was just 3% drop.
Least drop market. Just so absorption is very good in Bangalore even now.
So what we are seeing right now, be it Bangalore or Chennai, they are seeing absorption rates just very nominal drop, but the number of supply that they're coming up is significantly dropped. So developers are very smart in South. They're trying to just adjust demand supply. So you won't have really volatility. So that goes both in favor of both the South Indian markets.
Both. So much more stable, much more steady, much more grounded markets overall for Bangalore and Chennai. And of course, the panel in Delhi has defended Bangalore better than the panel of South. Having said that, investment decisions are really not about one city or the other until unless you're an NRI with relatives in both these cities. It's really about having a base somewhere and then looking at that market. In real estate, we always say, go with the market that you're closest to. You can monitor the property. But these are the two largest growing cities of India, Bangalore and Chennai. Jack, thank you very much. Dr. Kumar, pleasure to have you with us. First time on the Property Show. Hope we see a little more of you on the channel. And of course, Om, Vineet and Gaurav, thank you, gentlemen. All right, join me again next week on India's hottest and the most watched forum for real estate, The Property Show, as I take you to hotspot markets for the middle class in Pune and Hyderabad. Goodbye and thank you for watching.